press this. Now it takes about 2-3 seconds to lag with.
Can you hear me now?
Naturally. We're on? Mm-hmm. All right. Hello, everybody who's watching this, if anyone's watching this. I'm drawing Swamp Thing on a sketch cover in Brandon, Manitoba, where we have been at BRAN-CON, their first Comic-Con to come to this part of Canada. And everyone's really awesome here, and the show's been incredible. For a first-time show, I cannot complain. Just fantastic. And I also have my hands on about 8 more blank Swamp Thing covers. So these are like currency in my world, Swamp Thing books. They're incredibly hard to find these days. Swamp Thing's a good way to start the day. I think, anyway. Gets all my drawing muscles warmed up. Lets my brush do its thing. And the nice thing about drawing Swamp Thing is you can't really make any mistakes. I mean, you can really mess it up, but generally speaking, you can kind of just let the brush do what it wants to do, let the ink do what it's going to do, and not worry about it too much. Which is why Swamp Thing's kind of like therapy for me when I draw. It's a nice way to level me out and get me ready for a day of drawing serious stuff. Comic books and illustrations for other folks.
I didn't get the whole box. There's only two. For the camera, that's pretty sweet.
Take a picture of all the cool shit I just
We got panels going on behind us if you can hear any of that. It's a little noisy, but hopefully I'm coming through okay. If you're watching, and if you are watching, thanks for watching. Probably going to be streaming some more stuff later on. I got a Guy Gardner to draw for somebody later, and I got another Swamp Thing to draw. And yeah, like I said, I got 8 more of these blank Swamp Thing books. So if anyone's interested in getting one, feel free to reach out to me, either on Twitter here or Instagram, Facebook, or you can email me directly at mike@mikerooth.com. And I'm happy to take care of your order if I can. I'm not taking on too many commissions these days because I got a lot of work to do at home, but I will, when it comes to Swamp Thing, like I said, Swamp Thing's like medicine for me, so I can always find time to draw Swamp Thing on a busy day. Brandon, Manitoba is a beautiful place. If you've never been out here, you should check it out. There's a lot of flat. There's a lot of long distance viewing. There's interesting wildlife. It's just a nice part of Canada I've never been to before. I regret not having come in here earlier. Winnipeg's really cool too, but I kind of like the vibe of Brandon here. It's quiet, and peaceful. Everyone's friendly. I apologize for my Muppet-like voice. I am drawing, if you're interested. Am I on still? Okay. I am drawing with a Raphael number 4 brush, which is my preferred brush to use. A lot of people like the Winsor Newton brushes. That seems to be the comic book standard. They're very, very expensive, and I'll be honest with you. My feeling is a sable brush is a sable brush is a sable brush. So if you got a good round pointed brush and it's sable, it doesn't really matter the brand. But I do have a lovely set of Winsor Newton's number 7 series, but I'm almost afraid to use them because they're so expensive. But I like these Raphael. The Raphael ones are identical to my mind. They are absolutely identical, and They do everything those other brushes can do, but they kind of program you in comics to work with certain tools. And I even like the Princeton brushes you can get in Canadian Wallach's art stores. They got a brand called Princeton, which does an identical version of Winsor Newton, in my opinion. I'd put it up against any other brush out there. But I like this Raphael brush. They're kind of just like them. I get excited about art supplies. Ink I'm using is just regular old Speedball ink. I just like it's reliable. Although on some of these sketch covers, the sketch cover material drinks it up. So you lay down nice blacks and then they just turn to gray right away. So you end up kind of re-inking stuff twice. Sometimes I just say screw it and I just use black gouache because it's matte finish and it works. But hi guys. If you hear me talking, just because I'm live streaming here, but you're welcome to hang out and flip through my book, and yeah, I can chat with you guys. Yeah, we're just live, so no worries. No worries. You guys having fun? Yeah, awesome. Pretty great little show they put on here, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, have a look through there. There's something there for everybody. I do lots of covers for AfterShock and some other comic book companies, and that's just some fan art stuff that I've done in there too. Different books and publishers I've worked for, characters that I just like to draw. Yeah. You guys right from Brandon?
Yes.
Oh, very cool. My first time coming out here. It's beautiful.
Do you usually attend the one in Winnipeg?
You know what? I haven't. I've always wanted to, but that one's gone now.
Yeah,
And
I'm disappointed about
yeah,
that. We
well,
usually go.
and I think that's part of maybe some of the issues they had with this show is that people didn't know that show was finished. Like, it's not coming back.
No,
So
yeah, I
it's-
just actually found that out a
Yeah.
few weeks ago when I was looking for tickets, and
Right.
I found out that it was done for good.
I always wanted to go because I heard it was such a big show,
It was really,
and
really
it's
good.
kind of the only thing that Central Canada has in that way, right? So,
I like whatever that is.
oh, which guy? Oh yeah, these are all different versions of Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing's a character that comes to me sometimes when I'm feeling blue, and he just comes out on the page and makes everything all better,
Sometimes
you
it's
know?
hard to tell the difference between Swamp Thing and what's the other ones in Marvel.
Oh, Man Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, back in those days when those characters were created, Marvel and DC were basically across the street from each other in New York City. So the artists and writers from those companies would very often meet and have lunch and trade ideas. So it wasn't very long after Swamp Thing came around that Man Thing showed up.
Oh, yeah.
But you know, there was a lot of that kind of back and forth thing that happened with Marvel and DC back in those days. So, but I love Man Thing too. Man Thing's a really unique character because he's actually quite different than Swamp Thing. He has a whole unique set of powers. He can teleport, and he has just different stuff than what Swamp Thing did. Swamp Thing they really made into almost like an Earth Elemental character, you know.
I like these two.
Yeah, those are some original characters of mine. They were just from little art challenges I used to be a part of an art forum. I think I'm on Twitter right now and a couple other things. I think YouTube as well. I'm not 100% sure. I'm kind of I'm not real clever when it comes to the technical stuff, so I don't really know how it all works. But yeah. If you see anything in there that you like, the prints are only $5 today, and
Like these?
yeah, they're all $5. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to do something nice for Brandon because I had never been here before, and it's their first Comic-Con, so I wanted to make it easy for everyone to come walk away with something, you know?
That's cool.
How long have you been drawing this stuff?
So I've been drawing. I've been drawing pretty much for as long as I can remember. I can't remember a time when I wasn't drawing when I was a kid. My mom used to draw for me all the time, and then when my little brother was born, she didn't really have the time to draw with me, so I'd have to she'd say, "Oh, why don't you sit and try to draw it yourself?" And so that's what I did. And it was a nice way to learn because I'd watched her draw a bunch. She used to draw all my favorite superheroes for me.
Was she an artist also?
She never really followed through with it. I think she just her parents just didn't my grandparents just didn't really support the idea that she could be an artist, even though she had her teachers in school sending her home with notes saying, give this to your parents and tell them to take you to art school because you have a real talent, But they never followed through with it. But my mom still draws now and then. But I think once I started doing art, I think that was maybe for her enough to see that I was doing something, I don't know, because she was busy being a mom and, 3 boys and that, so.
That happens.
Yeah. So, but now that she's, kind of heading towards retirement age, I think she's planning on getting back into it a little bit. Yeah, I told her, I said, it's very healthy, it's very good for your brain, it's very good for your hand-eye coordination, keeps you sharp. But yeah, but I've been drawing professionally since about the mid-90s. I went to Sheridan College where I met my wife, and in Oakville, Ontario. And yeah.
You like this one, John?
Spidey Goblin? Yeah.
You think you could someone who does like yeah, that'd be cool. I got one every year with comics.
Do you really like that goblin?
But I'm save my money for other stuff. There's lots of stuff.
Yeah, there's no pressure here, guys. There's lots to see at the show. So you go ahead and wander around, and yep, no pressure. If you want to come back and grab that print, I'd be happy to keep it aside for you. But no pressure at all. And if you're around here around 2 o'clock, still, I'm going to be in the auditorium there doing a sketch battle with another artist here. So it's going to be kind of a fun thing to watch. If you're interested.
You get a topic and then you just...
Yeah, I think we're just going to have like a character picked for us, and we're both going to do our own take on the character or something like that. I haven't really got a heads up on that yet, but that's usually how they go. And I've done lots of sketch battles. They're lots of fun.
He's putting you out of your wheelhouse now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, today I think I have a challenge. It's going to be a little outside of what I normally do. So.
Actually, I do want to get.
You want to get that one?
And,
Sure.
And the dragon.
Okay. Yeah. Just give me a sec,
Yep.
and I will pull them out of my bag. Those are my display copies there, so I'll just check and see what I got down here in
Sure.
stock.
Yep.
I'll pause my brush just for a sec.
So this is just something you're just redoing a cover of a.
Oh, I'm just drawing a Swamp Thing for fun. They make these blank covers, and they make them, that's the actual cover of the comic, and then they sometimes print them with a special Bristol board cover that you can put the logos on, and then you can just sketch whatever. So they're actually designed for, I think, really they're designed for customers or fans to go to shows and actually get artists to sketch on them. So, I'd love to take one of these and give it to Yannick Paquette, who's an artist, a friend of mine in Montreal, who drew this comic book. So I'd love to take and get him
So
to
you
do a
get
sketch
something
for me.
original.
Yeah, so you get like and it's kind of a nice entry-level kind of piece to get for art collectors. I try to keep them cheap when I can and affordable. But yeah, they're fun to do.
Yes, please.
I'll take one of those.
Yeah, for sure. You can follow my adventures online.
Yep.
I post pretty much every day, and this month I'm doing a series of drawings that are all drawn with found objects.
Oh.
So like I'll go for a hike and I'll find an interesting looking twig or a root or something like that, and then I'll come home and I'll dip it in ink and I'll do a sketch with it. So I've been doing a whole series of Swamp Thing drawings that way, and I've been doing just all kinds of fun stuff with it. And every day there's a different challenge. So I've done drawings with a mushroom, I did a drawing with a pine cone. I'm mostly trying to show. They turned out they're different. I don't have the control of the pine cone that I do with a brush.
Yeah, no kidding.
But you do end up with an interesting line. You end up with an interesting sort of different way of drawing. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll actually see I post those videos every day, and they're just short 30-second videos because they're time-lapse videos. But they just show me there's a little pencil sketch, and then I start with the ink with a found object. There you are.
Thank you.
Just 10, yeah, for the bigger those.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I keep mine. Yes, until we get a frame, they'll stay in the bag. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Hey, you too.
That was my first published piece in a Conan comic.
Oh.
That was a huge, huge thing for me.
Yeah, I guess so.
I was a giant Conan fan, and it was funny. The story is I was in Toronto Comic Con, and I had a bunch of Conan drawings in my portfolio. And this fellow walked up to my table who I didn't know who he was. His name tag was turned around, but he was a guest at the show.
Right.
And I didn't know who he was, and so we were just chatting about Conan and different things like that. And he very complimentary about my work, and he said, "What do you want to do? Like, what do you actually want to do in comics?" And I said, "Oh, I got a tiny little dream." I said, I just love to get published in a Conan comic just one time." And he kind of started to laugh, and he goes, "Oh, I think I can help you with that."
Oh my goodness.
And he turned his name tag around, and here he was, like the editor of for Conan at Dark Horse Comics. So
Jesus.
he's like, "Call me on Monday, and we'll line something up."
And it worked out.
And that worked out. So it was just,
That's
it was a
amazing.
huge kind of dream come true for me, and it also made me realize very early in my career that I should dream bigger,
Yeah.
because it came pretty quick. And I wasn't expecting it to ever happen. And I know there's lots of guys out there who would love that same thing to happen, to get into a Conan book. I feel very fortunate that it happened to me, but it's one of those things that you can only really chalk up to being at a Comic-Con. And that's why I think for young creators or starting out creators, I think it's so important to get out to Comic-Cons, because you don't know what kind of opportunities could come from running into a random person right at a show. And also it gives you a chance to connect with the people that you like. Like I remember I was a big fan of a book called Luther Strode by Justin Jordan, who's a friend of mine. And I didn't know Justin then. And I just walked up to his table and said, "Man, I love your stuff. I'd love to get a pinup in your book someday." And he's like, "Sure, anytime you want. I'm a fan of your work." And so that was a surprise for me.
Right.
And so I ended up doing a pinup for that. So that was my first time in an Image comic book. So I just kind of would go around and meet creators that I liked, and try to,
get
you know,
your
just
self
offer an opportunity. Like, "Hey, let me draw something cool for your book," you know. And that's kind of how I began my career. Just kind of reaching out and.
Yeah, I really like this one too.
Did you do the Batman Who Laughs one too?
These are all things I've done this weekend. Yeah, they're all sketches I've done so far this weekend.
Like the Batman Who Laughs. I have the special edition cover at home.
Oh yeah, very cool. Yeah, the Batman Who Laughs is a real creepy character, eh? He's fun to draw though. A real different slant on on Batman for sure.
Well, we're gonna make our way around.
All right,
Thank
great
you.
chat with you
Nice
guys.
talking to you.
Yeah, take care. I'll try to keep my cussing down.
No cussing.
No cussing.
Yeah, if you switch over to the music.
All right. Hello there. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. All right. Let's see what I'm doing here. Pour this green paint in here. And we'll get some green happening on Swamp Thing now. Have you seen the Swamp Thing show? Are you familiar with the character at all?
I've seen the trailer.
The show is awesome. It's been canceled, unfortunately. I don't know why. I don't think anyone knows why, but it is fantastic. It is. I love it. I think they hit all the notes, and I'm sad to see it's gone. But if you get a chance to watch it, I think it's just being aired in Canada now, so you might have a chance to watch it on. I'm not sure what channel it is. Yeah. So there's a panel going on right now, so we're going to go off the mic for a little while. But I'm still going to be coloring this Swamp Thing if you're watching.
You're just glazing over it and all the tones are sharp.
Go in with like a mix of like yellow and green and get like I'm just having to go old school with actual ink and brush today, which is all right. I think people kind of like the old school stuff a little better anyway. So,
Yeah.
how are you guys doing today?
Good.
Good.
I love your Wolverine and Batman that's up front.
Oh yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. I forgot about those. Yeah, that's cool. Is there like there's an auction happening, right?
There is, yeah.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I'm happy to donate something like that for a show like
Well,
this.
it's almost like an old like newspaper type.
Well, I love doing drawings on the tan paper.
Yeah.
I have a few in here. Like I'm a bit of a Dungeons and Dragons guy, so like I did some monsters on the big brown paper.
I love it.
I drawn actually all these Swamp Things here. These were all All these Swamp Things were drawn on toned paper. I also have a blue version of the paper. It's like a real pale gray blue. But yeah, you get some really nice, nice effects with it.
And I mean, it helps your background without you having to.
Well, yeah,
yourself.
I mean, this is it just creates a gray tone, and then you just go in, you can lay in your tones, and then when you go in, like this is just white pencil crayon. Just going in with the highlights on white pencil crayon over top of the watercolor paint, you can get this big pop, of contrast happening. So,
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
yeah.
sketch battle. So everybody stick around.
Okay, so there's a sketch battle going on next door.
Right now?
Yeah, it might be worth checking out because you see a couple. I think they're going to be drawing on canvases, like big canvases. I'm not sure exactly how they're setting it up.
Yeah,
but
I guess they're doing it like live. Like on
yeah,
stage.
and I've got one at 2:00. So this is me warming up for sketch battle because I got to battle the mighty Hugh Rookwood, who's got that display there. He's a giant of an artist and a giant of a man. So it's going to be a challenging battle, I think.
Yeah, those are big pieces.
Oh yeah. So I'm not sure who we're drawing, but I think it's going to be fun. And I think the trick is like people in the audience will be getting the drawing. Like they'll get someone in the audience will get one. Yeah.
Where the ticket. Can you take a picture of him? He's around.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's around. I saw him walk around with some tickets, so should be all right.
Yep. I'm gonna pop back later.
All right. Yeah. For sure.
Yep.
What's up?
Nothing.
Am I mic on or?
Yeah, your mic's hot.
Oh, I am. Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's hot.
I'm hot.
Yes.
All right. Thanks for watching. If anyone's still watching this thing,
I've got both music and his mic on monitor.
Oh,
So,
I love it.
that way you can adjust volume if you need to.
Come on up there.
if you see anything in there you like, prints are only $5 today. So
$5?
$5.
Take a Cthulhu, please.
You want you? Sure, sure. Erica, could you?
Yes.
The Mind Flayer.
That's Captain Canuck.
Yeah, that was a cover I did for when they relaunched. They wanted to start retelling some of the old Captain Canuck stories, but they wanted to. So back in those days when Captain Canuck came out, there was a huge gap between issues, and so what Chapter House did was they went back and they republished the original Captain Canuck comics, but they had new creators doing stuff on the like kind of filler material between the comics. So we actually got to add to the original Captain Canuck canon by doing that, which was kind of interesting. So I was lucky enough to draw a story for that.
Nice.
Which was kind of fun.
Look, you get a sign to do and everything, dude.
Oh yeah, of course.
Life is
That's
good.
cool. You see
Sure.
Voltron, but Barbarian.
Yeah, that's my Voltron the Barbarian. That was
Super badass.
that was super fun. I actually wrote like a little Beowulf sonnet around that people really liked, but it didn't go anywhere because I pitched it at the same time as the new Netflix show came out, and
Yeah.
I don't know who it was, but they were like, yeah, well, it might dilute the waters too much, and I'm like, I can't compete with Netflix, man. I'm just talking about doing a comic book, you know.
Yeah.
But so it was kind of fun. There you go.
Thank you so much.
Oh, cheers! Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Squid for the squid.
Yes, it's good for the squid. Thank you. Oh, okay, that Skeletor was awesome.
Oh,
Also.
Skeletor.
Yeah.
Oh, he
He
killed
finally
He-Man.
got He-Man.
Yeah, had to give Skeletor a win.
Yeah.
He
You know,
deserves it.
he does.
basically.
He's the whole show as far as I'm
Honestly,
concerned.
He's the best part of the show.
All right.
Do you
now
want
I'm
a
gonna-
Swamp Thing, babe?
No, kind of. Sort of. Swamp Things are pretty badass.
You should probably pick a Swamp Thing, and I will buy
But
it.
do I
for
want
you.
Swamp Thing kicking Batman's ass?
That one actually, it's a funny story around that Batman drawing the Swamp Thing. So I was doing drawings. I'm doing a series of drawings right now.
I don't know.
Where I'm using found objects to draw them. So I'm like
Yep.
finding like an old root or like a leaf or a branch, and I'm dipping it in ink and doing the sketches.
Yep.
So that Batman versus Swamp Thing, I actually drew that with a dried up sprig of catnip, the whole thing.
That's crazy.
So the original art actually has chunks of catnip all through the black. But yeah, all this texture was created by just basically stamping it with the flowers of an old dried up catnip, and then
Oh, that's crazy.
I used the super hard dried stems to draw my lines. So I don't have the same control over those lines as I do with a brush.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was still able to pull off a decent illusion, you know. So
That's pretty sweet, actually. That's smart.
get some interesting things happening with that when you mess around with the different art tools, right? You can get some unexpected results, which I think is important.
You want Shakespeare fight the Velociraptor?
There you go.
Yes.
That was from a book called Shakespeare Punches a Friggin' Shark, and it was
Okay, so we also need to get that book.
written by Ryan North. It's a choose-your-own-adventure book, and Ryan North's a genius. Like he's a Canadian guy. He writes Squirrel Girl and stuff like that, and he's fantastic. And yeah, that was a super fun project to work on.
Oh my gosh, that would have been so much fun. Silver Surfer. Nice.
Yeah, Silver Surfer.
You guys from Brandon?
Yeah.
Very cool. What a beautiful place you guys live.
Yeah.
It's okay, you don't have to lie.
I'm not
No,
gonna lie.
I think it's gorgeous out here, man. I like how you can just look and see for a long time. There's nothing obscuring your vision, and I like that. I miss that.
I
I'm
kind
gonna
of
bust
like
it.
the full. What do you need?
That one?
Oh, his markers.
Well, I like that one, but I also like the full body one too. I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we got the
What do you want?
I told you, you pick one.
Well, I don't care. Swamp Thing isn't really my thing. Swamp Thing's cool and all, but I never get into Swamp Thing.
Yeah, there's no Swamp Thing pressure at my table, man.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. Yeah, no Swamp Thing pressure. I just like drawing them a lot.
Tons of stuff.
That's cool.
What?
I didn't see that one.
The Kraken.
Yeah, the Kraken. That one is cool. What?
That one's actually available as a T-shirt as well on my shop,
that's
my online shop.
Oh, you
Yeah.
got an online shop?
Yeah, grab my
I
card.
got one.
Oh, you got one? Yeah.
Yep, that's
Yeah, I
why
got I got a whole line of T-shirts, and at the end of this month, there's actually going to be a huge art sale of all my found object drawings that I'm doing this month. So like I've drawn about 10 or 15 Swamp Things already this month, and a couple other characters. And yeah, it's going to be kind of a big art sale at the end of the month, and there's going to be a sketchbook collection of all these different sketches I'm doing too that people can get their hands on as well. A little bit of promotional material for myself for shows and that.
No doubt.
So yeah, it should be fun.
I like it.
You like that
The
one?
Voltron, yeah,
Voltron
that's
the
probably
Barbarian.
honestly that's probably my most popular print. I launched that in New York City in 2015,
Yeah.
and I think I sold out immediately. I had to get more printed while I was there,
Wow.
and it
Yeah,
was just
it's-
like crazy. So
It's just like original concept that hasn't been used, so it's kind of neat.
well, my idea for that one was
I'll get one of those.
you want one of those? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
My idea was that, like, you know, it's 1,000 years after the last great Robeast War,
Yeah.
and the final creature that Voltron slays with a blazing sword was loaded with an explosive, knowing that it was going to die at the hands of at the sword of Voltron. This thing explodes with such heat and ferocity and evil that it basically fries the circuits of Voltron and causes the lions to disassemble and run in different directions. And over a series of hundreds of years, these lions they eventually power down. The pilots are dead. They were fried in the explosion. The lion mechs survive, and they essentially power down when the different quadrants of the world where they landed, and they essentially tribes begin to form. What remains of humanity forms around these tribes, and then you have to unite the tribes because humanity as a whole is lost. Children are being born with beaks, and they're being born with beaks and tentacles because the world's been poisoned by this evil. Oh, cheers.
Yeah.
And yeah, so my idea was that you needed they break off a piece of the original blazing sword and forge one that can be wielded by a human, and then you need someone to unite the tribes. And it was just a little fun kind of Beowulf type thing I wrote, but it was fun, and I wished it had gone somewhere because I think it would have been a blast.
I feel like try again.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it again. Yeah, I'll give it another shot.
I
See
feel
any
like that's
pictures you like?
something.
We the Norths.
That's cool.
You'll play in basketball.
Yeah, that was fun.
Well, that kind of
So,
E-man.
Maybe not so.
Maybe not. Do you want the thing? You want the thing?
That's a cool movie. One of my favorite movies.
Classic.
Oh, does that actor
Do you want
help
Swamp
me?
Thing?
Kurt Russell.
Thank you.
Do you want Swamp Thing?
I just saw Bone Tomahawk. Finally saw Bone Tomahawk a little while ago. I thought that was fantastic.
I haven't seen it.
It's really dark. I didn't know it was a horror movie. I just thought it was kind of like a dark western.
Who's in it?
Yeah.
But it's Kurt Russell. He's the main guy. He's kind of the main guy. And the dude that played Night Owl in the Watchmen film, he's kind of the hero in the movie. It's fantastic, man.
Wow.
The just the take of the bad guys, like the villains are these troglodyte cave dweller kind of savages.
Yeah.
And they got these bone implants in their throats that make this weird like harmonic scream when they. It's just a really inspired, really.
That is an alarm clock, to
Yeah,
be
but
honest.
you don't watch it with the kids in the house because, man, there is some grim, there is some grim stuff in that movie. Like,
Like
Oh,
this
I
one?
mean, like just the scream.
You
oh,
like the wolf?
I mean, that is.
werewolf, yeah.
Yeah, you like werewolves, buddy.
Yeah, he's gonna be in one for Halloween.
Oh, very cool.
Okay, so we'll take this one, and
Yep.
then I'll also take both pages of this.
Of this? Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
And the one punching the glass. Go.
Yep.
Yeah, well, you gotta get Shakespeare punching the velociraptor.
I mean, I'm sorry. As soon as you pointed that out, I needed it. So.
I can.
I need one of these each,
And then one.
and then one of the wolf. Actually, I think he's right in the book. Actually. Okay, so this werewolf. This
Well, you
werewolf
have
is
to-
actually from my comic Dodge, which is coming out in a couple months. Hopefully it's coming out in a couple months. We're going to do a Kickstarter for it. It's been an ongoing battle to get this thing done, but it's a really cool story about an American Special Forces GI who's also a werebear and battling against evil Russian werewolves. And it's just lots of monster fights and machine guns and craziness, so it should be pretty good. You might like it. It's full of werewolves.
Yeah.
I was a werewolf guy too, so I.
Yeah, you. I mean, if they all fit in here, then.
Oh yeah, sure.
Save the turtles or something like that.
Yeah, save the turtles, exactly.
Save the crack.
My Kraken. I'll get that printed on my Kraken jersey.
Oh, yeah.
Or Spider-Man. He's Captain America.
Captain America's shield.
Oh, that's the big battle.
Yeah, Endgame. Yep, it's true.
Was it the velociraptor you're looking for? Yeah, we can take him out of the book. Yeah, that's no problem.
I think it's back this.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, there we
Yep,
go.
there you go. Sure.
Punch them out here.
Yes.
My last one. Last one for now, anyway.
Last one for now. That's the best one.
Awesome.
Oh, you got one. Okay. That's okay. I already signed this one. That's okay. Sure.
And then,
Just 10 for the rest of those. That's
sure?
fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
perfect. I'll just pay debit then.
Oh, debit? All right.
Yeah.
Can you do that, Erica? Or oh, you can't.
No.
do-
I have the tap.
Oh,
okay.
right. What can we do here? Sure, we can figure out something.
I give you credit.
I probably. Oh, credit?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Or I use sometimes. I've got these white Posca markers, which are
Oh, okay. Yeah.
basically like a paint marker.
Yeah.
So and they're pretty good because it's a pretty opaque color, and you can get some nice detail with them.
Yeah.
I'd use. They got like a narrow one. There's also.
I got mine?
Yeah, no, check it out. Yeah, I used to use the white Sharpies, but they stopped making them. They stopped making the white Sharpie poster paint ones.
Yeah, I've seen the white Sharpies. I remember the white Sharpies.
They were great. I used them for everything, and then and they actually had a pretty fine point on them, so you could actually do some pretty cool work. But
It's just like a whiteout marker almost.
basically like a whiteout. Yep. And it's it's got to be the kind of the last thing you do in the drawing because. Otherwise, if you paint over top of it, it kind of like wakes up and will start to get muddy everywhere. So
yeah, fair enough.
You just gotta kind of play with that. Try to keep it a little dry if you can, but
do the last step.
Yeah, basically it's the last final step. Yeah. Oh, that's rad. Is that one of your pieces?
It is.
Oh, that's
It's your
awesome,
group
man.
rocket.
Oh, yeah.
I'm bragging for you.
That's good.
I'm proud of you.
Well, that's a really cool piece, man. How was that? Like pencil crayon on black?
No, it's just a black canvas, and I just use acrylic paints.
Oh, that's wicked, man. Right on.
Yeah, thank you.
You been painting for a while?
Yeah, kind of, sort of on and off.
Yeah.
Non-stop kind of thing.
Oh, that's good, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you gotta keep the art going in some way. You know,
Yeah.
everyone's got something arty that they do. You know, it might not be.
His aunt is like insanely talented. That's probably what he gets.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. Yeah, talent's one of those things. I often wonder if talent is real or if talent is a myth, because I think sometimes it's just the time you put in and the practice, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, I know guys like one of my instructors, one of my friends, Ty Templeton, he's a Canadian comic book legend. He was a writer, and he was frustrated by the artists he was working with not able to draw the stuff he wanted to draw, so he went and basically taught himself how to draw.
Oh, crazy.
And so now he's like an art instructor in comics, and he's amazing. And yeah, that was his thing. He just learned how to. He just said, I want to draw. I want these books to look the way I want them to look. And so he doesn't believe in talent. He thinks talent is a myth. I'm useless here. He thinks talent is a total myth, and he thinks it's just lies. It's only
just lies.
You know what? I think that one's cut too big. I'm not sure it's gonna fit in there.
See, and
I'm gonna leave it there for a sec.
I don't know.
I haven't got the patience.
I just feel like you've always been like you haven't had to take that time to like really hone it. Like,
Oh yeah, I have.
Like you have, but you have that like baseline of just like general.
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
Well, I got my aunt, so anytime I have a question about something, she just explains it to me. I'm just like, okay, and then you just kind of.
But you get it. Whereas,
Yeah.
like,
I just
if-
kind of go and do it.
If I was to do that, I'd be like, Caroline, what are you talking about?
You kind of understand the language, and that's part of it too, right? You gotta.
The lingo and shading and the basic, like fundamentals.
Oh yeah.
Whereas
You
like
just
I go to
apply
draw a
whatever.
circle and it comes out like a triangle, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
I don't.
No, it's
how
not
did this
that.
happen?
I don't know anyone that can draw a circle. Circles are hard.
Yeah, you ready to rock? Okay, well, awesome, super.
Great chatting with you guys.
Super nice to meet you.
Yeah, have a nice day, guys. Yeah, no problem. Enjoy.
Why won't you eat them? Oh, the desiccated yeah. Thank you. I'll throw them in the bag.
What's my time looking like? 12.
Your mic is hot, just let you know.
Okay.
We have Nico out there drawing a bear dinosaur. Yeah. And then we have Justin drawing a dinosaur cooking.
So here I'm just adding highlights. If anyone's still watching this, I'm using my white Posca marker just to pull out some highlights. And it's usually the final step of what I do because the Posca ink, the Posca paint rather, is it's active to water. So if I decide I want to work on top of this again, I have to pretty much expect that I'm going to make that paint come to life and blur and spread everywhere. So I usually get to a stage where I'm pretty happy with finishing the drawing, and then I use the white as the final touch to kind of knock it out. But this has been a fun sketch, and I'm glad you guys have enjoyed it if you have. And if you haven't enjoyed it, well, feel free to send me your hate mail if you want. But I like drawing Swamp Thing, as you've probably guessed by now.
That is about as much as the.
And if anyone's interested in getting a Swamp Thing blank, the guy who sponsored me for this show, the mighty Justin Steves, he Big Country Comics, he actually found 10 blank Swamp Thing covers, which is kind of like a unicorn find these days, because this comic came out in, like, I think 2012. They haven't made any Swamp Thing blanks since then. So it's these things are really hard to find now, and it's actually a really nice surface to draw on too, which is a surprise, because a lot of the blank covers are just terrible to try to draw on. I remember years ago I did a cover for Conan and Red Sonja, a team up with Dynamite and Dark Horse at the time, and they made sketch cover blanks for that issue. And they might as well have printed them on glass or like hard plastic, because it was a completely repellent surface. Couldn't even, I'd sketch something down in pencil, and then I'd ink it, and then I'd go to erase my pencil lines, and it would erase all the ink too. It was a nightmare to try to work with them. Trying to get color on them, trying to get anything on them was just terrible. Could never understood why they'd bother to make a sketch cover that no one can draw on. Unless you're like a wizard, like a Ken Lashley type guy who's just killer with the Sharpies. I'm not one of those guys, so I found that to be just a heartbreaker, because I kept on going to shows and people were bringing me these blank Red Sonja Conan blanks, and man, they were just tough to draw on. I hated letting everybody down.
Those AfterShock blanks are awesome.
The AfterShock blanks are fantastic. I've done. I wish they would do more. I wish they'd do them for every series. I've done a few for Baby Teeth. In fact, I did this one yesterday. You may have caught a live stream of this one yesterday. It's just a great surface, just an awesome paper to draw on. It doesn't wrinkle up too bad, and you can paint on it and kind of beat the crap out of it, you know? So it's really, really good. I wish every comic came with a blank edition. I know that when Dodge comes out, we're going to have blank covers for that, and we're going to be going on tour with that. And I'll be drawing werebears and werewolves and all kinds of cool monsters and stuff. And I'm in Manitoba right now at a show, but when I'm back at home in the studio, I'm going to continue with my found object drawings, which you can see me posting on Instagram, Uncouth Rooth at Instagram. And they've been a lot of fun to do. That's where I pick up a root or a mushroom or a pine cone or something like that and do a drawing with it. I wanted to find something cool out here in Manitoba to draw with, like some kind of unique Manitoban plant or something that I could draw with, or a flower or something like that. And I may yet, we'll see. But I've been busy at this show. The show's kept me hopping. I've been drawing all weekend long. It's been great. Everyone here is super friendly, and it's been an awesome show. For their first show, just an awesome show, and I hope my friends who are listening to this, if anyone who's an artist or a comic book creator, I hope they would consider coming to the show next year when they run their show, because it's going to be amazing. They did everything right. And we're lucky that we had the show this week and not last week, because Manitoba got buried in snow, and might have affected the show a little bit. So luckily we dodged that bullet. All right, I think I'm coming up to the end of this Swamp Thing now, and take a little break and maybe draw something else later on. I got another Swamp Thing to do, and I got a Superman to draw, and I have a Guy Gardner to draw, which will be fun, and maybe some remarks on these AfterShock special exclusives we have here at the show. The Dark Arc After the Flood. So I hope you'll join me then. later this afternoon. I have a sketch duel against one of my very good friends, the mighty Hugh Rookwood, today. Chosen Studios on Instagram and I believe on Twitter as well. And he is an absolute monster. He's a 6'6" giant. And I'm glad I don't have to physically fight him because he would destroy me and it would be hilarious. I'm sure it'd be much more entertaining. But instead we're going to have a sketch duel. And I'm not exactly sure what we're drawing yet, but we'll find out and it will be fun. And I'm sure he's going to embarrass me thoroughly on stage. And yeah, we're going to be live streaming that too, I think. I'm not sure how exactly, but I think on the BRAN-CON Facebook page maybe or something like that. So you can go find BRAN-CON Facebook page, BRAN-CON. And they're also on Instagram, BRAN-CON 2019, all one word, if you want to check them out there. But yeah, that's Swamp Thing. Thanks for watching. See you soon.